Okay, another morning come up. We're gonna go ahead and pick up our anchor, and we're gonna be taking off. I stayed at this little cove here because I figured it would protect me from any big ships going by the intercoastal and creating big wakes and pushing me all over the place. This was pretty nice. It was nice and calm. I was the only boat in here, and it allowed me to get a good night's sleep without the boat bouncing all over the place. Uh, this is going to be a short video, mainly because while I was on the move here, I didn't check the weather in the morning, so I figured I better check the weather and see what that's going to be like. Come to realize that we were going to have winds of within about an hour. We were going to have winds of about 25 uh, miles per hour coming from the north, which means I was going to fight this wind all the way, all day long too. And of course, trying to conserve fuel, that is not a very good idea because I'm pushing straight into the wind, and the wind is going to be pushing back. I was probably end up going from 8 miles an hour down to about 6 miles an hour, but still using up the same fuel. So I decided to start looking for a little place to stay. I figured it's not worth me traveling today. So I was looking up on Google Maps, and I happened to see a small little park. Uh, it didn't have a big, by looking at it, it didn't look very big anyway. But it had a boat ramp. So I figured, well, if it's got a boat ramp, then they probably have places where they can tie up the boat, while you're loading it up and getting things to do. So I decided I'm going to go in there and see what it's like. Uh, Not all places will let you stay overnight, so I figured I'm going to check it out. It was a small ramp, boat ramp. I think it was called Moody's boat ramp. So here I am, right in front of it, and I started turning into it to see what I could see. Once again, it was a nice little cove you had to go into, so I was going to be protected from the winds. I wasn't concerned about the big boats coming and creating wakes now. I was more concerned with the 25 mile per hour winds that we were going to get ready to get to start coming in, and they were supposed to be all day long till dark. So I thought this is not a good day to travel. And that's the good thing about doing the Great Loop, is that I don't have a schedule. I don't have to be anywhere at any time. So if I want to pull over, take off for a day and not do anything, I can just pull over, tie up somewhere, and not do anything. So that's what I did. That's why this is going to be a short film. I just kind of filmed around the area and all of that, and figured, well, no sense in moving. There's always tomorrow, and while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and check the weather tomorrow. And here, as I was coming in, I realized that this is a pretty nice little place. It's not too bad. It had floating docks, which is good. Anytime you have a floating dock versus a regular standard dock, um, the thing about a floating dock is that it doesn't bump your boat going up and down. You don't have to be adjusting your lines, and you got to come in slow also, because that's what happens. You hit your boat and put a scratch on it that way. But anyway, lesson learned. Come in a little bit slower next time. But anyway, with the floating docks, when you tie up your lines, you tie them up as tight as you want, because as the water rises or lowers because of the tide, the the docks go up and down with the boat. So that makes it a lot easier, like I said, to tie up and to stay there overnight, because you don't have to worry about loosening your lines and moving your fenders around because the tide is dropping or the tide is coming up. Uh, I went ahead and tied up here and decided, well, I don't see any signs anywhere. Uh, And because there's really no sign that says no overnight docking, uh, I decided, well, I'll go ahead and stay. And somebody tells me I got to go, I'll move. But at least they can't give me a ticket. It doesn't say, uh, that there's no overnight docking. And had I stayed and that sign was there, yeah, I could have gotten a ticket for it. But anyway, uh, it was pretty nice place, nice little park actually. Uh, it's kind of like a little private park that was donated by a lady here, and you'll see the name of the lady here shortly. And it's the park is more of a walking trail. It kind of goes into the woods and stuff like that, and I see a lot of people coming up and tying, putting their bikes up and locking them up, and then taking the walk of the trails here, and it turned out actually to be real nice, even though it was windy all day at 25 mile per hour winds. It was nice and calm in here, and that's kind of what I figured. As long as I could stay here, I was hoping nobody was going to show up and say, okay, you can't stay here. But an officer came by. I kind of talked to him for a little while. I asked him about that. I said, listen, I don't see any signs posted that say that I can't stay here all night. I said, I'm making a trip and I don't really want to move because winds are getting pretty strong. And he just mentioned to me, well, there is no signs that say you can't stay here, so I don't see why you can't. As far as the police department is concerned, there's nothing we can do whether you want to stay there or not. So the only people that could probably tell you to leave is the Florida Wildlife Department. If they come by and they say you can't tie up here, then you're going to have to move. But anyway, I went ahead and tied up the boat, and then decided to walk around and see this little park here. And it was right under the Flagler Beach. I made it all. I had gotten. I'm actually in Flagler, Florida. Yeah, and that big bridge you just saw. I'm basically right underneath that big bridge, and that's where the that bridge goes straight to the Atlantic Ocean out to the they call the 1A1, which is after that there's nothing but Atlantic Ocean. And let me tell you, the winds were gusting and the ocean waves out there were humongous. It might be a little hard to tell here because we're Indiana coastal, but the winds were blowing pretty good. Okay, and I had kind of figured, well, I'm not going to travel, don't need to travel today. And it turns out that a neighbor of mine called me and said, hey, my sister and her husband live there in Flagler. I know you haven't seen them in a long time. If you want, I give them a call and maybe they can stop by and you guys can chit chat for a little while. So we were able to get together, and we went out and had lunch, and we had a great time. It was nice seeing them. I hadn't seen them probably in over 20 years or something like that. Their kids were just babies when I knew them. Now they're all grown up, married, kids, and all kinds of different, situations now with them. But it turned out to be a very nice. It was nice seeing them. So it wasn't a complete. What should I say? A complete drag. There was something nice about all of this. Here, while I was sitting here, comes one of these boats here. Now, a boat like that ain't gonna have no problems fighting the winds, but he's still gonna be, his fuel economy is gonna go shoot sky high. That's the kind of boat that is like your condo underwater. Okay, my boat is more like I'm camping underwater than I have a condo underwater. But anyway, it at times I figured, well, well, since I'm going to be here for a little while, I went ahead and took my little bike out. You know, while I was walking around, I also happened to notice this little thing. Uh, One of my neighbors told me, uh, your boat looks like Popeye's boat. Well, let me tell you, if there's a boat that for Popeye, this one would be it. It's very unique. It's unusual. I had never seen one like this before. And I thought to myself, oh my God, you know, what a task that would be to be able to refurbish this little thing. Uh, Put a little outboard on it, fix up the front where you could sleep in it, and then have that little back area in the back there at the aft area. Uh, it's actually looks like it had a steering wheel in the center there, but it also has a steering wheel on the inside of that cabin. Uh, I would take that wheel from the inside the cabin out. Wouldn't have to. And then what I would do is I would put a bimini over that little open space there. So in case you ever got caught in rain or something, you could always just open up the bimini and put side curtains and stuff like that, and you could still steer from that little handle, that little steering wheel right there. But this is a very interesting little boat. Like I said, I'd never seen one like it before. I'm sure it's not a production boat. Probably somebody decided to build this little thing, a homemade. What I did notice is it was plywood, fiberglass, or plywood and then fiberglassed over. So all the plywood was kind of gone, was rotted. So it would have been a big project to restore this little thing. But it's a very little interesting boat, and I thought, this is something that if I had the time and probably if I had the money, I wouldn't mind having this and working on it and restoring it. It would, and my boat now gets a lot of looks when I'm going by. People give me the thumbs up while I'm going by them. When they get to actually talk to me, they tell me, "Oh, wow, what a great little boat that is," and everybody always wants to know more about the boat itself. But this other one that I just showed you the pictures of, that would definitely get people talking if you walked around or you were on the water on that little thing. But anyway, here's part of the park that I was telling you about. It's really nothing here except this walkway, and there's trails that you can walk. So that's all the park is. There's nothing else. There were some benches and tables by underneath the bridge, but I think those were part of the boat ramp tables, and I noticed as the day got going, a lot of people were coming fishing here. So that was probably one of the main things about people coming here. It's not a park that's well known, I guess, because the only people I saw here were the ones that were fishing. And I happened to talk to one of the guys here, and he said, yeah, people come in all day and all night, just bringing their boats in and going out to fish and stuff. And a lot of people on the shoreline were fishing also, all day, most of the day today. And like I said, I stayed the whole night, the whole day. It was great. I enjoyed the time. I didn't have to go nowhere. I didn't have to be anywhere. I did meet up with my friends, and we ended up going out for lunch, and that was great. And as I was walking down this walkway here, I realized, well, I don't know how far it's going to go, and I'm not one to, let's say, like walking. So I just figured, well, I'll see. I'll go a little bit further and see where it goes. I have to kill the day somehow. I can't just sit on. I didn't want to sit on the boat for one. Why sit on the boat when you can walk around, you can go do stuff, and I have a little electric bike that I can take off the boat, and fully charged, I can go about 20 miles on that thing. So I always calculate, you know, I can go 10 miles out on this little bike and then turn around and come back. And I use it like when I need to run down to the grocery store to get groceries. If I have to go to a laundromat, or if I just want to go somewhere and grab something to eat. If there's not a restaurant or something like that within walking distance, I just take out that little bike and get on it and take off. And that's been, you know, one of the good things about traveling is that, again, no hurry to go nowhere. And I can go somewhere when I am tied up somewhere at the docks. Here's where I got to the end of the walkway. And I thought, oh, okay, so here's where you turn around and go back. Well, I was wrong again. I had an option here. I can go right that way, or I could go left and go that way. Or there was a third option. I could turn around and walk right back, which is what I did. I figured, hey, I've done my exercise for the day, so I don't need to do this. So I went ahead and took off. Anyway, this was most of the park and stuff. It was real nice. It was good to stay here tonight. I was able to tie up. Nobody bothered me all night. Nobody kicked me out, told me I had to leave. So I enjoyed the day. And here's an interesting little thing coming down the river here. This was a huge barge, and there was a tugboat behind this barge, and it was pulling this thing in. And I tell you what, it's a good thing I didn't run into this thing at a narrow channel, because man, there ain't no way he's going to be able to stop if you get in front of him. And you would have to somehow figure a way to get out of his way. These type of boats here do not stop on a dime. It takes them a long time. Not only that, they have to stay in the channel. There's no, well, I'll move out of the way for you so you can go by. No, they have to stay in the channel. If they don't, they're going to run aground. But that was pretty interesting little tidbit there. That kind of took care of my day for the day. After that, it started getting a little dark and decided, okay, call it quits. Went ahead and got everything ready for to go to sleep. And here's the name of the park. And it turned out to be a nice day and a nice park. I'm glad I stayed.